and welcome to our May webinar, our engagement webinar. My name is Jenny Fall. I am the Director of Driver Engagement here at Women in Trucking. And today I am very excited to introduce John Gravley with the American Truck Historical Society, or ATHS. Hi, John. How are you today?
Good, Jenny. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm really excited, looking forward to our conversation. So John and I met at MATS this year and had a real quick conversation. So I'm looking forward to learning more about ATHS and how it affects the trucking community and how can we all benefit from it. So
Cool.
To start, I didn't know a whole lot about ATHS, and I still don't. So I'm really happy that you're here. For other WIT members that may not be as familiar, really give us your pitch. What does ATHS do? I'm going to do that for the next hour.
That's okay.
What does it matter to people working in trucking today?
Sure. Well, I really appreciate the chance to talk about ATHS. I appreciate, actually, we've had a somewhat long relationship with women in trucking going back probably 5 or 6 years, but I've been with ATHS for 2.5, and I had the chance to meet Jennifer early on in that time. And over the time, she and I have had a variety of really good conversations about how we both can support the mission of each organization. So I'm happy to talk about ATHS, the American Truck Historical Society. We're 55 years old, founded in 1971 by a group of men that were leaders in the trucking industry, and not manufacturers, more trucking freight line owners that were sort of interested in trucking and the people in trucking, those stories not being lost, because they were recognizing that, things change, and they wanted to make sure those stories were kept. So our mission, our founding mission, is to be the organization that preserves the stories of people and the industry, the trucking industry. And basically, I think they imagined America, the U.S., and then it sort of expanded to North America. But now the way things are interconnected, it's kind of worldwide. But our mission is to keep those stories alive. There are a lot of trucking museums, and we do have some artifacts in our facility, and we do, of course, support museums, but we're more than a museum. We're the place that wants to preserve the records, the stories, the history of trucking, because it impacts every part of our lives. I'm not a trucking person. I'm a professional nonprofit leader. And so when ATHS asked me to be a part, I was excited to come here, and I've had to learn a lot. And it's not been hard, because these are some amazing stories about people that are drivers, people that have put companies together, and manufacturers that have developed the product over the years. So ATHS is all of that. So behind me, you can see our library, and our library contains artifacts and memorabilia from the industry, and we continue to receive materials. In fact, in January, we finally received the Kenworth archives. We had a conversation with Kenworth, and they, as a company, are interested in their past, but they're really more focused on their future. And so they thought, by sharing their archives with us, we could do the work on keeping those relevant and making those more accessible. And I'll tell you more about why some of that is really important to some of our members as we go forward. But anyway, that's ATHS is all about the history of trucking, wanting to keep the story alive, being the organization that makes sure these great stories are not forgotten.
That's really interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned those stories, because I think I also thought it was older trucks, and that's what you did. So the stories, that makes me really happy, because as in my role here, it's like there are so many cool stories that we can tell.
So 55 years old organization, things change, develop. So originally started to keep the history, right? But at some point, I don't know, in the first 15 or 20 years, when they had meetings to talk about the history, some of the people would drive their classic trucks. And so they would then go out in the parking lot and look at the classic trucks. And more, the affection for the classic truck has grown, so that currently probably most of our members would talk in terms of an truck enthusiast club with 20,000 members around the world, but people that love old trucks. The classic story is the person who is driving down the road, sees an old abandoned truck out in the cornfield, and decides, I want to save that truck, and so they start restoring it. And so we have a magazine that we publish 6 times a year, Wheels of Time, mostly focused on telling stories of people that have done restoration, even though we do have some history in it now, and we have throughout the years. But it's kind of interesting. We have two focus areas. Would be the history part, which is what our founding was about, but how that's developed into the enthusiast side, where people go. We have a national convention and truck show where we'll have trucks from all over the country show up. This year it's in Springfield. And anyway, so that's we do a lot of different things.
That's awesome. And actually, that was one of the questions I had. Your conference is coming up next month. Yes?
Yeah. It's June the 3rd through the 6th in Springfield, Missouri. It's actually part of the Route 66 100th year celebration.
Oh, wow.
So It's a great place for us to be. We hope to have 1,000 trucks and trailers that'll show up. People will be showing off their classic trucks and debating on which is the best. They'll be talking about, who has restored it the most appropriate way. I love talking to our members, but quickly those conversations get way over my head because they're talking about which transmission they've used and differential and, the original this or that.
Oh,
and, it's like, okay, great. But people are passionate about their trucks, and that's fun to see people. Quick story about how this passion for trucks, like you probably have seen it. So 2 years ago, we were in York, Pennsylvania for our show. We got a call from the local Fox affiliate. They wanted to do their early morning show promo at our venue because there are all these trucks in the background. They thought it would look cool. So the reporter shows up, a younger gentleman, and he's learning about the trucks or whatever. And I could tell that he was really excited about the trucks. And anyway, one of our members said, "Would you like to get in my truck?" And I thought this young guy was going to bust the seam here, because he was so excited to crawl up in the cab of the truck, and he's there. And then it happens, I see him put his hand up. Can he pull the horn, do the horn? And he does. And it was like he was a little kid, but just the fascination with the truck. And I see that a lot. People just love the trucks.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we met at the Mid-America Trucking Show this year, and I know a lot of the drivers that are part of Women in Trucking, their favorite part is going around and seeing all the trucks, especially the older trucks.
Yeah. I mean, we're fortunate that Matt's lets us display our member trucks in the facility. So when they're setting up the event and they have a space here or there, they ask us to put member trucks there. So I think we put 47 trucks there this year. And our members will sit with the truck, and they love talking about them. Members compete about whose truck gets the most photos in front of it. And I've heard those conversations. So it's a fun way to celebrate trucks.
So how do you, as the society, decide which stories to preserve or which trucks to highlight? Is there a process, or is it really just a free-for-all?
I mean, it's a free-for-all. It's, what shows up. So we'll receive donations basically almost from anywhere, anyone. So different things show up. There is a committee that goes through those things and sort of sorts it. We have a lot on our shelves, and we do some historical work in terms of going through the materials and creating stories. But I will say that probably that's a part of our mission that we have not invested as much in as we probably could and maybe should, is taking the materials and telling the stories. Now, our members often know stories, and members can come and go through materials here, and it's kind of exciting for them. We have an awards program. We have 2 different awards programs. The sort of ATHS awards program, where we recognize industries and drivers and people in the industry that usually for their terms of service. So if they've been driving for 50 years or 25 years, they can be awarded, they can be nominated and awarded. In that group, by the way, there are 12 women that have been recognized as Golden Achievement winners. So these are people that that are in the industry. Many of them work behind the scenes, but some are drivers, and so they get recognized that way. So when someone gets nominated, we look through our materials to see what we know about them, and if they meet the criteria, they're awarded that. Then we have the Hall of Fame awards. The Hall of Fame awards are different. They're sort of considered the leaders in the industry. So like Classy Cummins from Cummins is in our Hall of Fame. The Mack brothers in Hall of Fame. The variety of people end up in our Hall of Fame, and that's selected by a group of our members that sort of think about who are the leaders in the industry, who are the people that should be recognized for that, and are placed in it. At Old Dominion, so I told this story to Jennifer because Old Dominion Freight Lines, a still very large company that maybe some of your members drive for, founded by a couple, Lillian and Earl Congdon. And I would say probably most people know Congdon and think of the men in the family, but that story actually, and we tell this story, the company started because of the money that Lillian had received from her work with AT&T as a switchboard operator. So it was her money that started the company.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like, we like to highlight that because, I mean, that is a really cool story. And so that's one of the industry stories that we have shared.
Oh, I love that. Old Dominion is actually a very strong supporter as a company of women in trucking. So they're very involved in what we do as well. And so it's good to hear the highlighting of their founding.
Yeah, I mean, their family is still a family-owned company, and their family's still very involved in it. So it continues to be a great story.
So how do you choose? Is someone nominated for that Hall of Fame and that other recognition?
So the ATHS awards on our website, there's criteria and anyone can nominate anyone, and they don't have to be members actually. So I mean, your members could go on our website and nominate someone for the service awards and the driver awards and things like that. The Hall of Fame is a little different because it's a committee that it's looking at the industry and trying to decide, this year, well, I can't give away yet because I'm not supposed to about who's going to be put up for that. But, it's often manufacturers or leaders in industry. Another story that I didn't know, and I assume most people don't know, last year we inducted Lewis Simple Clark. Who is Lewis Simple Clark? Well, some people in the industry may know him as the founder of Autocar because they may drive Autocar trucks. Of course, the first time I heard Autocar, I'm like, wait, we're talking about trucks, not cars. And Autocar is the name of the trucking company.
Okay.
So he founded the trucking company Autocar, which is now is still in business. It went with White, and then it was out of business, and now it's in business again. But he's not known. The spark plug that's in most gas-powered cars was invented by the ceramic coating around that is invented by him. The transmission or differential drive in trucks from not being chain drives, that was Lewis Simple Clark. So this is a person who has impacted the industry significantly, but is really not, people don't know. And so we try to tell that story. We have a whole division of members that keep the Autocar story alive. And I mean, that's one way we help with the history.
Oh, I love that. And how do you get the word out there then about like these Hall of Famers and these other award winners and outside of doing things like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, in certain spaces we're well known. I mean, among enthusiasts, we probably are well known. In the corporate space, I would say probably you guys are better known than we are. And so honestly, one of the things, one of the attractions to our partnership is the fact that you're in front of corporate people in ways that we're not. And we want them to know that we're highlighting the industry. Occasionally we will, I have had the experience of our committee deciding to recognize a company and me reaching out to the company and nobody being willing to answer the phone because they don't know who we are. And so our goal is to make sure that's kind of a bad thing to happen. We want the whole industry to know what we're doing because we're trying to keep the history of the whole industry alive.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like that I'm aware of, there's not a whole lot of folks that are doing that. And I think in any industry, when you have that tribal knowledge and you lose it, it's just gone forever. So I really appreciate when organizations like yours step up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I have a variety of conversations across to anybody that'll listen, and I have yet to hear anyone think that our mission is not a cool mission or not a great thing. And so, yeah, and we just need to do more of it and do it better.
Well, when you have so many hands, you can only do so many things, right? I mean,
True.
that's where we all kind of work together to really build up the industry. So do you have anything that you can think of that ATHS has, which I mentioned, I struggle with that for the whole hour, has in your collection specifically related to women in trucking, or do you have any people that you can think of?
I would say, like many things, the challenge is we have a lot of materials, a lot of information, and people will come and go through it, but it's kind of just random. And so the more people that we have looking for things, the better. Like women, our membership is heavily male focused. Sure. I mean, that's men in the industry. That's kind of not surprising. Yep. Stories get sort of self-selected. So there's where, again, the attraction of women in trucking, if we could, invite more women to be part of our membership and help us tell the story. So yes, we know some of the stories, but do we know them all? No. One of the things that we're doing with this new partnership with Women in Trucking is every issue of our magazine, Wheels of Time, we're publishing a story focused around women in trucking.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some of those recent stories have been kind of member profiles, which is fine because your members have great stories, and some of them are pretty long. So I mean, that's fine. But we want to do even more. So in the next issue of Wheels of Time, which, by the way, if you're a member of Women in Trucking, you have access to the electronic version of our magazine through your membership services. You can get a link and read the magazine. And
that's good to know.
I hope your members are doing that. If they want a hard copy, we can make that happen. They just become a member of ATHS, and then they get an actual hard copy. But in the next issue, there's a story about Marie Luring. Marie was around the turn of the century. She was born in 1892 in New York City. And during the First World War, not the Second World, but First World War, she was a designer. And with many men in military service, there was a need for engineers and designers. And so she got a job with the International Plainfield Motor Car Company, an affiliate of Mack Trucks. Goes on to work at Mack Trucks as a designer for interiors and parts of the cab. Faces all the hurdles you can imagine that a woman in an industry that's not many women face, but is finally recognized, fortunately, for her expertise and her contribution to the industry. And so in our magazine, you'll get the fuller story of her, which is a great story. But it's, like a lot of things, it's there, and we're just trying to lift it up and help her be recognized. And we'd like to do that for a lot of other people.
Oh, I love that. And so if our members had stories they wanted to share with you, what is that process? How do they get those things and stories to you?
So, I mean, stories, the best would be through the Wheels of Time magazine. So in the magazine, there's a link to the editor, Darren, and you can just email him directly. That's the easiest because he will work on the stories, and we're looking for stories. I mean, they've been produced primarily by women trucking, but we'll take them for whomever. And we've had stories about women in the magazine. It's not that they've all been about men, but like there's a one, and I don't remember the name of it, but there's a woman who has a really beautiful restored Kenworth that is quite famous, apparently going around to a lot of shows and things. And we did a story on her and her work. And So, yeah.
Okay, so reach out, and I'll make sure once we get off the call to that we share with our membership, because I don't know that I even knew that. So about the magazine, so we'll make sure that that's well known across the board.
Yeah, and like I said, so the magazine, the electronic version is available to Women in Trucking members because of our partnership with Women in Trucking. If a person wanted to get a hard copy, they could become a member of ATHS.
Okay.
And a membership of ATHS is $62. And it, in addition to the magazine, a person gets, sort of discounts to our National Convention and Truck Show and other kind of industry things, much like you get received to your members, and gets to help support the industry's story staying alive. And so that's a kind of thing that sometimes gets lost because members think that they're joining a truck club and that's what it's about. And sometimes don't keep in mind that, well, yeah, that is a part of it, but a bigger part of it is the fact that you're helping support keeping the history alive so that the stories are not lost and forgotten. And we do have, so oral stories, I mean, that's the thing that a lot of people, have stories they want to tell. And we actually have a number. It's a phone number that a person can call and leave a voice message, which basically is their story.
Oh, I love that. What's the number?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. It's like, it's on our website.
I'll get the number. We'll share later if you don't have it offhand.
Because, to me, that's the most precious thing that we probably are in danger of losing is the story of the person who, has this unique experience, and, it's their story and they don't quite know how to save it. And so just call this number. You just talk to the thing like you're leaving a voice message. And then the goal is that eventually, I can't say we'll do it tomorrow, but eventually, because we have those records, they can be digitized and we can then create and make those available. The goal being, or my goal being, is to put more and more of our material in a format that people can access. It's nice that we have it, and we can say we've got large numbers of documents behind here but they're not easily accessible unless you come to Kansas City and walk through our building, which you're more than welcome to do. You can do it anytime; it's free. But I'd like to make it more available. And then, so individuals can join ATHS. Companies, there is a company membership, but it functions much like an individual membership that way. So there's a question about chapters. So a chapter is where a group of people, ATHS members in a certain area, decide that they want to get together and form a group in that area. Okay. So we have chapters all over the world, actually. We have chapters in the US, Canada, soon Mexico, and then we have chapters in Australia. So it's just where members get together and they'll do local car shows or local truck shows or get-togethers. But yeah.
Okay.
And then,
go ahead with the other question.
Yeah, I was about to say, can companies or drivers donate equipment or memorabilia to the collection? Yes. We receive whatever a person wants to share with us.
All right. I'm glad we're getting some feedback here. So we have some folks that go to truck shows and conferences around the country. Where can they connect with you? Are you popping up all over the place as well?
So we have one national convention and truck show a year, and it alternates locations. This year we're in Springfield, Missouri, June 3rd through the 6th. It's not too late to register, not too late to come to that. Next year we'll be in Salem, Oregon, and I don't remember where we are the following year. We try to go East Coast, Mid, West Coast because we have members, throughout the country.
Okay. Do you pop up at other conferences? I know, did you have a table at Matt or a booth at Matt's? Do you do booth time at other places?
We do not as much as you guys do. You guys are much better at that than we are. And when I send Jennifer an email, it's like she's always somewhere. So it's like, where in the world are you now, Jennifer? We do Matt's. We do the Iowa 80. We'll have a truck show up in Iowa. We'll do that one. We do the Texas truck show because we have a big concentration of members down there. And then other regional events, some of our members will show up to talk about ATHS. So I would say the best way is go to our website and find out, where we are, connect, ATHS ATHS.org, ATHS.org, and see where we are. One of the fun things that a lot of our members experience, again, the enthusiast side, is the conversations they have in social media about obscure topics that I know nothing about and don't really know about what wheels were on the 1956 Mac, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but that's really important to some people.
It is. Well, you were talking good talk about the different equipment pieces earlier when you were describing something. So you're learning, right? We're all learning as we go.
Yeah, I should have learned enough to keep my mouth shut because I get in trouble pretty quickly.
All right. Do you offer any resources for folks looking into truck collecting?
I mean, truck collecting, if it's probably restoration, yes, because that's what a big chunk of our members do. So if a person is working on a restoration and has a question about a part or how to do something, there's where the member forums are great because somebody's probably encountered that before and will know how to solve it. We had a guy restore a West Coast truck that was unique because of the rim size, and so in restoration, some people are really focused on restoring it to the original form. Some will modify it. So there's a whole range of whether that people have thoughts on that. But this person was wanting to do original, and so the rims were a different size. They had to be custom made. Well, that was pretty expensive to for him just to get rims for his truck. But he went on Facebook. He found a group of people that had a similar problem, and then contacted a manufacturer. And because it was more than just one set of rims, they got them made, and everybody was happy. So that's kind of how it works a lot of times.
So it's the community part of it where folks connect together. I love that. Is there so do you have the social media sites? Is that where your members or others go to connect with each other?
Yeah, we Facebook is primarily where they go, and it'll be the ATHS Facebook page. I don't.
We'll find it.
Yeah. And the robust conversation there about a whole range of things.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So Facebook's your primary place where your community goes to connect. Okay.
Yeah. We have an app, and we're trying to move people to our app, but I can say that primarily it's going to be on Facebook because we have a much larger group of people that interact there because they're on topics and you don't have to be a member there. So it's just, that's the easiest.
Okay. And to join, we have folks asking how to join. They go to your website to join.
Yep. Pretty straightforward there. Yep.
I was on your website earlier just so I could really understand. The events are super easy to find. It was just a drop down and your various things. So that was good.
Yeah. And I think membership works the same way. You just click that and
go
through. Try to make it easy. There's a number to call. We have people on standby because of our our membership. We don't use too much technology because it's more of a challenge. So we have people that will answer phones and help people if they have questions.
Now, another question came through. Can companies or drivers donate equipment to the collection, or is it really, do they keep it and then bring it, or what does that look like on the equipment side?
Yeah, I would say that is a call because we don't house a lot of, we're not a museum, so we don't take large trucks. We do have a couple of trucks here. It's, we have a 1919 tractor, which is it's a classic old truck that pretty cool. And then on our outside of our building, which we're in Kansas City on the way near the airport, and I lived in Kansas City for a long time and would drive up toward the airport and could see the building, but I didn't know what it was because we have a red truck on the side of the road between the building and the interstate. It's a Klein. Klein was a manufacturer in Kansas City from 1952 to 1993. They made specialty trucks, and because they're Kansas City based, we have one of their trucks sitting outside this building. But but if it's equipment, call us. Some of it we might take, but trucks probably not. Another story. So a few years ago, Frederick McKinley Jones is the inventor of the refrigeration unit that goes on trailers, the reefers. So we inducted him in the Hall of Fame, Thermo King, was associated. So we had invited Thermo King to be here for this. He has passed away. Frederick McKinley Jones has passed away. So we had them here to receive the award. And the local Thermo King dealer came up and brought a historical refrigeration unit that they had in their shop on a stand, and they brought it here as part of the celebration. And great. And then they start to leave and they said, "Would you like to keep that?" And we're like, sure. I mean, it's on a stand, so we could roll it into our building. So we rolled it into the building, and then not 30 minutes later, some of our members had gone through the Thermo King file that we have here and had the original promotional material for that unit.
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
so cool.
That's a great story. And so you can come see a early Thermo King refrigeration unit that went on a trailer.
I love that. Well, you said, so if folks have trucks and they want to participate in like mats, where I know you mentioned that you had 60 some trucks that
47, yeah.
47.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do something like that, what is that, another phone call?
Yeah, so that's sort of, our members get priority there, so
Gotcha.
become a member and then you get on the list. And if you're in that area, we never know how many they're gonna want us to provide. And we've toyed around with trying to do certain makes, but generally it's kind of, as long as you're on the list, you'll get called if you're, interested.
Yeah, I love that. I love that people can do that too, because I know, like you said, they love to show what they've done, all the restoration. That's some work and artistry.
Well, I mean, in commitment. So, in this moment where fuel prices are, what they are, driving a classic truck is not the most economical thing.
Right.
We had two members drive up from Texas who wanted to show their trucks at MATS.
Wow.
And they sent me the gas bill that said, "We're here." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate you volunteering to do it. I hope you don't think we're going to pay for your fuel." But it's the kind of passion that our members have about their trucks and love showing them off and talking about them. And that's what makes it fun for others to have a conversation around it.
Are you going to be at the Stars, Stripes, and White Lines truck show in Atlanta? No. Okay.
No.
Do you have chapters in that area in case that person or a chapter?
We do. And I would say go online and check that out. And we probably have, if it's truck show in that area, we have members in Georgia. We have a pretty robust chapter in South Carolina. So I'm sure probably some of our members would be there.
Okay. That's good to know. Whoever made that comment, that they can reach out to their chapters in their area to connect with other folks.
Right.
So one of my questions, I think you might have mentioned it, but I just want to make sure folks know. So for the Hall of Fame, how does somebody make a nomination, or what does a strong nomination look like?
So I would say if someone's interested, they could reach out and contact me, and tell me. But that committee really sort of thinks about who in the industry that they want to recognize. Gotcha. And I know that actually someone interestingly has reached out this year to think about being a candidate for that, and it's going to come to our National Convention Truck Show, and maybe there'll be a conversation around there. So we'll see. I have another story. So we were founded in 1971, and one of our members was in the room. So he was there because he was in the industry. He wasn't one of the people who founded it, but he was in the room. And he's 90 years old and still very active, and I travel with him from time to time because he knows everybody in the industry. And he's outlived many of them, but he probably knows their children, and he's great. His name is Stuart McKay and Company. He worked for Cummins for many years, and then he founded McKay and Company, which did research for the trucking industry. His daughter Molly is now the head of that. But Stu is amazing because he just still loves trucking, and he knows so much. Last year, about this time, we visited the Peterbilt factory down in Denton, Texas, because we were having a conversation with them. And I found it interesting, but like Stu was like a kid in a candy shop. I mean, he was asking lots of questions and just watching that process. And it's like, that's so much fun to be around someone like him who has passion and interest. And, it's it's great fun to be with him.
Oh, I echo your sentiment there. I get to hang out with members of our Women in Trucking Image team, and they're mostly drivers. And just to feel their excitement about what they're doing, what they're seeing is contagious. I mean, it just really is.
So our president, David Schnautz, he and his brother own a freight line in Texas, and he's a joy to work with. He's been great for ATHS. But when he leaves a convention, he often will send me a text. He probably shouldn't, but it's a text of the road in front of him, and he says, "I'm in my happy space." And he's the happiest when he's behind the wheel of his truck, just driving down the road. And there are a lot of people like that. And for me, I probably would be freaked out about, oh, how do I get around this turn, around this car, or whatever. But for him, it's where he's happiest. And we have a lot of folks like that.
Same with our members as well. I mean, I'm with you there. I mean, I like to be in my chair and helping advocate from this space, and then figure out what do our drivers need, and then so we need all of us to be exactly where we're at, I think, to be successful.
Exactly.
So as you've been with ATHS for, you said two and a half years. 2.5 years. So what do you see as like your vision for the next 5, 10 for the organization?
Well, I mean, not so much mine, but the reality, we're an organization that is kind of monochromatic in our membership. And I mean, that makes sense. It's just how things had developed. But the future, the future requires that to be a little different and find others that love trucks. And so that's obviously women in trucking, people that are in the industry that love trucking that likely aren't in our organization yet. And so that's one of the reasons why Jennifer and I thought this was a great match to work together and invite. And it's because the more representation we have from various other aspects of our community, the more likely we are to hear those stories. And it's not because our members are against it at all. It's just, you know what you know. And so there's where there's an openness there. And, it's not always easy for groups to change and to accept things being different, but sometimes the reality is it just is what is needed for survival. And so I think for us, we're at a interesting point where, there's recognition that we need to find and reach beyond what the groups we've normally reached to for the whole organization's future. And so women trucking is one. Another one is we were in outside of Monterrey, Mexico in February in Allende, Mexico. Allende, Mexico, this small town, is apparently the trucking capital of Mexico. And so we were hosted by a group of classic truck folks. They call themselves Tracto Clásicos, and they love historical trucks, but it's the whole city. So they took us to the city center where they have a show every year, and into the museum where there's a whole section on trucking because it's so important to their city. And then they took us and hosted us, and they had 87 trucks on display for us to look at. And it was amazing. I mean, we're walking up and down and looking at all the different trucks that have been restored, and not just sort of restored. I mean, really restored, and some of them are still working trucks. So it was just an amazing time, and they were so hospitable in the way they hosted us. And we're going to have 50 of their trucks at our National Convention and Truck Show. They're driving up from Allende to come to Springfield to be there with us, and we're looking forward to having them there. But that being because, a lot of people in the industry speak Spanish as their first language, and we're trying to grow there as well and make more of our organization something that someone who English isn't their first language would enjoy as well. So.
Well, those are some exciting plans.
Yeah, and it change is always interesting because
it is.
It's not always comfortable for everybody, and it creates some interesting dynamics. But it's something we need to do, and the story is a big story, and so we need to make sure we try to include as many people as possible to tell the full story.
I think that's how our missions are very similar. I mean, the point it sounds like for both of us is to be that community and create that network of people that are feeling and experiencing and being in the same space. It's very exciting to hear your plans kind of expanding on that.
Well, and trucking can be a language that communicates, or a topic that communicates across a lot of different differences. Mm-hmm. And so, it would be easy in this moment for conversations to go certain directions, but they always stay about trucks. And, there's disagreements, but they're good natured disagreements about whether it's a Mack or whether it's Kenworth or Peterbilt or whatever. And, people are very passionate about but it's done in a friendly way because, they're trucks. And so we want to all just enjoy and celebrate the truck. So it's kind of fun to watch people interact that way.
Yes, totally agree. And so we're getting about the 45-minute mark. So if there are no other questions, which I'm very happy to see so many coming through during our conversation, is there a final plug or anything you want to leave the folks on the call with to amplify what your message is?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you love the industry, help us make sure the story's not lost. And it's not by any intention or ill will that the stories wouldn't be kept alive. It's just energy and focus. And so anybody that loves trucks, this is a good place for you to find a home and to help us do more. I mean, there's so many stories we could tell if we had the resources and to do it. And I just want us to do even more and make this exciting, because the physical truck itself is something that draws a lot of people to it. And I'd like to be able to tell the story about it, because you can get in it and touch it and feel it and be all excited about it. But, who are the people that have been driving them? Who are the people that invented them? Who are the people that made them work and roll across the country and deliver everything that we eat, touch, wear? So it's kind of a big mission in a lot of ways. And so the more the merrier to help us keep that story going.
I love that so much. And remind the listeners again when your conference is and where they can reach you online.
Yeah, so the best place to find us and know where to go for anything is aths.org on the web. And that website, I think, is fairly easy to navigate and find what you want to do around that. And then see us in person. If you're ever in Kansas City area, please stop by our building. We're up near the airport. If you're on the interstate, you can't miss us for the red truck that's in front of our building. We're open, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and love to have people wander. It doesn't cost anything to wander around our building and see what we have. And then join us for our National Convention and Truck Show this year in Springfield, Missouri, June 2nd or 3rd through the 6th. And it's going to be a lot of fun. The group from Mexico is going to barbecue some meat, and they just want to do it. They like to barbecue and have fun, and so walk around, see some trucks, eat some free food they're providing, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Sold. I mean, you can't go wrong with when walking around Matt's. You smell all those food trucks. I can't imagine straight from Mexico. Some of that cooking is going to be delightful. So that's exciting.
And too, I mean, it ties into the Route 66 celebration. So I mean, there are a lot of other things going on in addition to our truck show. So there's a lot you can be a part of. And I will say, it's the kind of thing that if you're a working driver and you're on the road and find that you have a load that you've delivered in the area and just want to show up at the last minute, you're more than welcome to and bring your truck and be a part of it.
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know too, especially I know a lot of times folks don't know where they'll be tomorrow, much less in the beginning of June. So hopefully if they're in the area, they'll stop through and get to enjoy some of what you have going on there.
Yeah, the first year at our show on, the Saturday's the final day, and some people are coming in Friday night. I'm like, well, wow, they didn't plan very well. I mean, they're not going to be here for much of the show. It was like, John, you don't understand. They had a load and they realized they were going to be in the area, and so they came. It was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for coming.
Well, it's hard to forget when we're sitting at our desks and then drivers are all over the place and day-to-day changes, which makes I think that life so exciting, and it's where you get so many awesome stories. So
yeah, and come to our shows and you can hear all kinds of stories and people that have so it's a great fun time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you spending some time with us, and hopefully the folks that were on this with us and the folks that will watch it later will get some good information and join ATHS.
Yeah, and thank you, Women in Trucking. I love what you're doing and love that we can work together and support each other. So it's great.
All right, wonderful. Well, thanks so much, John. Thanks for everyone who joined us today. And we will see you next month at our next engagement webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.